He ruled with a scroll in one hand and a sword in the other. Marcus Aurelius, Rome's philosopher emperor, spent his final years not in marble halls, but on the frozen frontiers, far from peace. As plague hollowed out the heart of the empire and rebellions simmered at its edges, Marcus rode north. Across the Danube, barbarian tribes poured through the forests. What followed was a slow, grinding war, mud, blood, and frostbitten discipline. By firelight he wrote meditations, wrestling with duty, mortality, and meaning, while men screamed in the dark. This is the story of a ruler torn between thought and violence, who tried to live wisely, even as the world around him fell apart. In the city of Rome, beneath towering marble statues and bustling streets, begins the tale of Marcus Aurelius, a boy whose destiny was shadowed by the weight of empire. Imagine the echoes of ancient philosophers whispering through grand halls, where the scent of incense melded with the hum of civilization's epicenter. Born into privilege on April 26, 121 CE, Marcus stood on the cusp of history, cradled by luxury, yet poised for greatness, laid out by the hands of fate. As a child, Marcus navigated a city alive with ambition and power. Senators fiercely debated, gladiators clashed in brutal spectacle, and emperors wielded the authority of gods. But Marcus's gaze turned inward, seeking wisdom in scrolls rather than glory in arms. The corridors he walked were storied with echoes of Roman legacy, each demanding the responsibility he would one day inherit. Here in the heart of Rome, thoughts of duty began to weave his life's tapestry. Though he emerged from a patrician lineage, complexity shadowed his early life. With his father's death in those tender years, guardianship fell to his grandfather, who fostered Marcus's burgeoning intellect with a rigorous education. This young boy's life unfolded amidst privilege, yet was interwoven with high expectations and the spectre of future duty. Unlike his peers enchanted by spectacle, Marcus was quietly drawn to philosophy's serene embrace, setting himself apart through diligence and acute insight. Then came a pivotal moment. Emperor Hadrian, recognizing Marcus's potential, arranged for his adoption into the imperial family, directing his destiny towards the Roman throne. This unexpected shift bound Marcus to empire, folding him into the political undercurrents of ancient power. Surrounded by influence and intrigue, Marcus maintained his inner serenity, seeking wisdom from Stoic texts to prepare for the imperial mantle looming ahead. Adopted by Emperor Antoninus Pius, Marcus found himself enmeshed in the intricate web of Roman politics, where whispers carried the weight of daggers. He navigated these perilous corridors with unwanted grace, mindful of the legacy he was now charged with preserving. This world, woven with grandeur and danger, juxtaposed his sober studies in virtue and leadership. His days were now busy with imperial obligations, yet his soul remained anchored to the philosophical ideals that anchored him. From an early age, Marcus displayed an inclination towards philosophy, preferring its introspective battles over martial exploits. The teachings of Epictetus and Seneca offered guidance, grounding him amidst the storm of courtly strife. These insights fortified him against the empire's roaring demands, helping him navigate life's unpredictable streams with a resilience few understood. While the spectacle of gladiatorial games captivated his peers, Marcus was engaged in pursuits far loftier than the quarrels of the Colosseum. His world opened within libraries, among letters and logic, forming the battles of intellect and morality. Those who met him noted his transformation when engrossed in philosophy. It was here, rather than any battlefield, that the emperor within him began to emerge, a ruler defined more by reflection than armour, setting the stage for his reign characterised by introspection. In spite of his deep love for knowledge, Marcus was equally a student of power. His education, meticulously comprehensive, prepared him to wield the emperor's crown with humility, evidenced by Stoic doctrine. Power and philosophy, initially disparate realms, harmonized within him, guiding his unique ascension. During these formative years, masters of philosophical thought shaped Marcus. Notably, Herodes Atticus taught him eloquence, while Junius Rusticus introduced Stoicism's core, integrating ethics with governance. These mentors navigated Marcus towards sovereignty through thought, empowering him to lead with an understanding of the human intricacies woven into his imperial duties. While tutors polished his intellect, family grounded him. His marriage to Faustina, a woman of intellect and dynamism, enriched his life with both counsel and companionship. Their union was a rare alliance of mind and heart, proving essential amidst Rome's intricate politics. These alliances extended beyond family, providing Marcus a vital support network requisite for enduring the trials of rule. Marcus's philosophical explorations culminated in the Meditations, a profound collection of personal writings exploring duty, resilience, and virtue. As he faced Roman politics' complexities, these reflections composed a philosophical treatise on life and leadership, capturing Marcus's innermost struggles and triumphs. The journey of Marcus Aurelius, from the shadows of his youth to the dawn of his rule, was a forging of intellect and duty. His early years were not merely foundations for future greatness, but a meticulous preparation for a ruler who would become the philosopher king. Each step shaped by complex narratives of political intrigue and earnest study, honed Marcus into an emperor whose reign would echo with philosophical foresight and ethical clarity. His legacy was built step by step in those storied halls, preparing him for a rule that melded wisdom with imperial resolve. In the bustling heart of ancient Rome, young Marcus Aurelius found his world nestled between scrolls of wisdom and corridors of power. Raised amidst opulence, he could easily have been consumed by the endless temptations of imperial privilege. Instead, the young Marcus was drawn to the philosophical teachings of giants such as Zeno and Chrysippus. These Stoic thinkers illuminated his path, offering a moral compass that guided him through the chaotic ebb and flow of imperial life. In a city thriving on hedonism, Marcus's soul sought simplicity and virtue, seeking solace in the idea of living in harmony with nature and embracing moral clarity. Through the tutelage of Rome's greatest minds, Marcus developed a philosophical framework that would not only shape his life but also his reign. Stoicism became more than just personal guidance. It laid the foundation for his political ideology. Power was not a prize, but a duty to serve the greater good. Thus, when the time came to rule, alongside his adoptive brother Lucius Verus, Marcus embodied the Stoic ideals of reason and virtue, providing a balance to Lucius's military prowess. Together they painted a dual image of leadership during an age balanced precariously between war and culture. It was a time of hope, yet filled with friction as they navigated the challenges of a shared rule, embodying Rome's strength and intellect. The empire, however, was soon thrown into turmoil with the haunting grip of the Antonine Plague. The disease swept across cities, reducing grand facades to whispers and bustling forums to scenes of desperation. Amidst this plague of death and despair, Marcus Aurelius's leadership was tested. The teachings of Stoicism provided him with an inner sanctuary, a reservoir of calm and reason. Beneath the shadow of mortality, he unified the empire's vast resources and extended compassion to the suffering, commanding Rome's response with clear-eyed determination. Each decision during these darkened days was a reflection of Stoic endurance, guiding an empire on the brink of collapse. Amid such tumult, Marcus found a moment's reprieve in introspection, crafting his enduring legacy. The Meditations. These personal reflections provided a glimpse into an emperor's soul, wrestling with the burdens of leadership under serene, moonlit nights. Crafted for his own understanding rather than public record, his inner dialogue was filled with meditations on virtue, duty, and the delicate dance of power. His writings transcended the imperial veneer, sharing a timeless struggle with the human condition, marked by fragility and the paradoxes of power. Despite wielding philosophical resilience, Marcus was no stranger to life's daily complexities amid grand crises. His duties stretched far beyond the throne, engaging with the vibrant life of the grain markets, bathhouses, and Roman streets. Here in the crowded alleys and the glare of the Senate chambers, philosophy met reality. Marcus's rule was a balancing act of imperial command and intimate understanding of his subjects' lives. Driven by Stoic ideals, his judgments, even in seemingly small matters, were tempered with reason and fairness. It was in these moments, beneath ceremonial robes and amidst mundane activities, that he constructed a life where philosophy thrived amid toil and governance. Marcus wove Stoicism into the empire's fabric, using it as a shield to project ideals of stability, justice, and compassion across Rome. His governance was hallmarked by equitable policies, strengthening the collective identity of an empire straying from indulgence toward principled statecraft. Yet he faced resistance, both from political networks within Rome and even his own lineage. His efforts to mould future leaders steeped in Stoic principles faced harsh challenges, especially with his son, Commodus, whose disposition eschewed contemplation for spectacle. Marcus's philosophical desires for his son met the limitations of human nature, highlighting the unpredictability of mentorship and the passage of ideals. Marcus Aurelius's reign was marked by constant reflection, a conscious retreat into philosophical thought amidst adversity. The encroaching crises served as a canvas for Stoicism to flourish, not only as a personal doctrine, but a communal ethos across Rome. His internal strength imparted guidance to his people during trying times, demonstrating the practical application of philosophical thought. As Rome groaned under plague and warfare, Marcus's meditative retreats offered clarity, framing human fragility within a vast cosmic order. His legacy lived on, immortalized through the Meditations, as a timeless testament of virtuous leadership. Empires may rise and fall, but Marcus Aurelius's call for living through virtue, reason, and reflection endures, a guiding beacon across the centuries. In the bustling heart of the Roman Empire, where the scent of spices mingled with the chatter of marketplaces, an unseen menace quietly emerged. The Antonine Plague, silently borne by travellers across Rome's extensive roads and ports, arrived with deadly stealth. Initially, the signs seemed innocuous, a few fevers, odd coughs, but these whispers of illness soon echoed ominously through the finest markets and grandest halls of the empire. Originating from the returning legions in the east, its impact quickly grew, each gasping breath and feverish shiver marking the onset of Rome's nightmare. Roman medical texts recorded symptoms in haunting detail: headaches that felt like hammers, vomiting that left sufferers weak, bodies dotted with angry pustules. The physicians of Rome, well versed in ancient knowledge yet overmatched, struggled against a relentless onset, armed only with basic remedies: herbal treatments, bloodletting, and fervent prayers. Galen, the esteemed physician, tried to document and advise, yet his writings, rooted in the limited understanding of the humoral theory, proved insufficient before the plague's might. As the pestilence unfurled its shadow over Rome, fear entangled itself with the rumours of divine punishment for an empire's overreaching pride. In such a time, Rome's medics became society's weary guardians. Healers frantically revised their methods, drawing upon traditional remedies while the plague claimed lives unabated. Some turned to divine intervention, performing sacred rituals as foggy incense rose from temple altars, mingling with the air of desperation. Temples teemed with offerings and cries for mercy. These depictions of vulnerability and the profound limits of human understanding cast a long shadow, challenging philosophical convictions as much as medical practices. Economically and socially, the Antonine Plague exacted a heavy toll. Urban populations dwindled, leaving city streets eerily silent where bustling commerce once thrived. Agricultural fields grew fallow, and construction projects halted as workers vanished, claimed by disease or fear. The empire's economic might began to unravel, a tapestry frayed by loss and inactivity. Administrative functions faltered as officials and soldiers succumbed, underscoring a silent war fought not with swords but against an unseen foe. Through this turmoil stood Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher emperor, navigating a maelstrom with steadfast resolve. Rather than retreat, Marcus remained within Rome, embodying stability for his anxious populace. Drawing upon his Stoic teachings, he offered a voice of reason, crafting policies steeped in calm amidst chaos. His reflections during this period, chronicled in Meditations, dwelt on mortality, duty, and the transient nature of life, revealing the heart of a ruler grappling with existential realities. As superstition flourished in tandem with the crisis, Romans clung to their gods and rituals. Amidst omens and divinations, citizens sought solace in the mysterious, hoping these ancient practices might offer a shield against the encroaching plague. The emperor, understanding his people's fears, allowed these traditions to persist, fostering a semblance of unity as Romans constructed a communal tapestry woven from both anxiety and ancient beliefs. Remarkably, as the plague's shadow receded, Rome's resilience began to shine through. The post-plague era bore witness to a slow yet determined recovery. Urban centres, invigorated by surviving citizens, resumed the hum of daily life. Economic structures adapted, reinforcing their foundations and learning from the trials they'd weathered. The pathways that spread disease now brought with them hopes of trade and prosperity, breath to Rome's recovering body. Despite the empire's gradual resurgence, Marcus Aurelius's personal losses during the plague remained profound. Within the emperor's own circle, the plague wrought personal tragedy, claiming close family members and his co-emperor, Lucius Verus. These losses, deeply felt, tested the endurance of Marcus's stoic resolve, energizing his meditations on life's fragility and impermanence. His writings captured the essence of Stoicism, mingling reflections of loss with insights into human endurance. Marcus Aurelius's philosophical reflections during this period offered an enduring legacy. The plague, in his view, was not just a moment of survival, but an opportunity to ponder the brevity of life and the resilience of the human spirit. His meditations on acceptance and stoic endurance provided vital guidance, resonating through decrees and policies that upheld society's morale during times of despair. His thoughts, bearing echoes of a world rocked by crisis, continue to guide leaders confronting uncertainty. As much of the plague's legacy is preserved in historical records, we gain insights into Rome's resilience during this dark chapter. Chronicles document the plague's reach and impact, conveying stories and data that weave a broader narrative beyond simple statistics. These writings reflect a testimony of survival, painting a multifaceted picture of human endurance amidst crisis. From the Antonine Plague era, Marcus Aurelius bequeathed lessons on leadership and tenacity to future generations. His time taught that Rome's essence lay not merely in its formal structures, but in the spirit woven through challenges and rebirth. His narrative inspires contemporary thought, reminding us of humanity's perpetual confrontation with forces both known and unseen. The story of Marcus Aurelius and the Antonine Plague remains a compelling chapter, echoing through time as a testament to resilience and philosophical insight in the face of profound adversity. In the whispered shadows of Rome's northern frontier, tension simmered, coiling like a serpent ready to strike. The Danube River, a great watery demarcation, divided Rome's disciplined lands from the untamed territories of the Germanic tribes. This boundary had long been a delicate thread, linking two worlds through fragile peace, maintained by cautious diplomacy and the show of Roman might. The Marcomanni and the Quadi, watchful and astute, noted Rome's vulnerability as plague swept through the empire and unrest stirred. This was not an opportunistic impulse, but a calculated decision to press against Rome, perceived as teetering on the brink of chaos. Along the Danube, the tribes were restless, driven not by mere caprice, but by the practicalities of survival. Scarce resources, population pressures, and eastern tribal threats. The Roman borderlands felt the tremors of impending conflict. Fires and raids punctuated the night, with farmers and soldiers alike warily eyeing the tree line. Rome, confident yet cautious, believed its authority unassailable. Marcus Aurelius, both philosopher and emperor, saw beyond mere military prowess. He sensed a gathering storm that demanded all of Rome's ingenuity and resilience. When word of the disturbances reached Marcus, he left the scrolls for the strategy rooms, shedding the comforts of philosophy for the rigours of command. Warfare was not his pursuit of glory, it was a gritty necessity. His co-emperor, Lucius Verus, brought seasoned vigour to the council. Together they sought to forge a path through the entangled chaos the empire faced. Marcus stood before his troops, fatherly and resolute, not promising easy victories but invoking Rome's legacy. His leadership, rooted in stoic resolve, melded intellect with the raw demands of war. The crossing of the Danube was a sombre ballet of precision, a march into uncharted realms both on maps and within souls. Warriors traversed makeshift bridges under a leaden sky, tension knitting them into a singular force. As forests loomed ahead, every whisper of wind carried the scent of the unknown. For Rome, the land beyond was not just territory to be claimed, but a domain of shadows and legends. The Roman lines moved through wooded territories, learning quickly to adapt to a land that played by its own rules. The initial skirmishes were a brutal dance of endurance. Rome's disciplined formations met the anarchic valour of the tribes head-on, clashing under canopies dense and forbidding. Each battle was a grinding test, where every gain seemed Pyrrhic. shadows confounding the light of victory. Marcus, ever the philosopher, used setbacks as lessons, honing his beliefs into tools of leadership. His writings on virtue and endurance, penned amidst the clamour of war, became a balm for soldiers weary of ceaseless conflict. At the Battle of Carnuntum, Rome and the tribes met in a contest of wills. Here, the raw power of the Marcomanni was displayed in a swirling tapestry of colour and sound. Their cries ricocheted across the battlefield, like ancient war hymns challenging Roman steel. Marcus, drawing from his meditations, ordered his forces into a stalwart defensive stance, witnessing chaos cede to calculated Roman might. As the dust settled, the triumph at Carnuntum affirmed Rome's tactical ingenuity, not just brute strength. Winter, a relentless adversary, soon cloaked the land, reducing campaign movements to grueling trials of endurance. Supplies waned, and bitter winds gnawed at morale. Marcus's presence was a beacon amidst the biting cold, strategizing for survival and fortifying the Roman resolve against nature's siege. His insights flowed as ink on parchment by feeble torchlight, reminding his army the fight was worth its bitter cost. As spring blossomed, Marcus turned to pens and envoys, wielding diplomacy as deftly as a sword. His emissaries spread webs of discord among tribal leaders, seeding doubt and division within barbarian ranks. This subtle art of war did not go unnoticed. The tribes, realizing their disjointed front had been Rome's prey, summoned unprecedented unity. Once feuding chieftains uniting against their eternal adversary demanded that survival trump old enmities. Marcus faced not mere tribes, but a cohesive force driven by survival instincts, a coalition that rolled across the land like an unyielding tide. This was no longer just a campaign of territory. It was a fight to preserve Rome's essence. Marcus adapted the Roman machinery, bolstering defences, ensuring supplies, rallying not just troops, but the entire populace towards a singular vision of enduring Rome's splendour. Fueled by stoic determination, Marcus painted the struggle in stark philosophical strokes. Every battle reinforced his understanding of the ephemeral nature of power and the virtues of stoicism. His meditations captured these lessons, providing a steady flame against the tumult of war. Marcus's legacy went beyond soldiery. He crafted a narrative where the trials of Rome became a canvas for timeless wisdom. As the war dragged on, so too did Marcus's resilience grow, a testament to leadership forged in adversity. Rome prepared for the sustained clash, united in resolve by Marcus's patient guidance. The Marcomannic Wars pressed every facet of Roman life and identity, a saga of survival, strategy, and stoic endurance, driven by a leader who bridged the realms of thought and deed with timeless grace. In the icy reaches along the Danube, where the frozen ground witnessed the dance of life and death, Marcus Aurelius stood as both a commander and a thinker. Amidst the clash of arms and cries of the wounded, he found solace by the flickering light of his oil lamp, pouring his reflections into a journal that transcended its war-torn origins. These musings, although a deeply personal endeavour, reached for the universal truths of existence. As soldiers readied their weapons, Marcus sharpened his thoughts, penning reflections on the nature of life and the inevitability of death. His words offered timeless consolation, a victory of the mind overpowering the temporary chaos of war. Marcus did not merely endure the atrocities he witnessed, he sought meaning within them, transforming the muddy battlegrounds into fertile ground for thought. This resilience was not born from detachment, but from a profound engagement with his brutal environment. Each journal entry was both a testament to his resolve and a study in human endurance. Living physically amid the chaos, yet mentally residing in the serene halls of philosophy, Marcus balanced both worlds. His most formidable force was not of men, but of ideas, a disciplined army of thoughts arrayed against despair. These entries reflected not simply introspection, but strategic maneuvers against doubt, making his battlefield both material and philosophical. As mud adhered to his boots, ancient wisdom stuck to his soul, crafting a leader who enlightened through thought. Merciless winters swept the Danube, turning the landscape into an unforgiving white expanse. Here, glory-seeking was a fool's errand, and survival in itself a victory. Far from Rome's warm libraries, Marcus braced against the biting winds and treacherous rivers. Philosophy, amidst such harsh conditions, became a visceral experience, testing Stoic principles against frostbitten flesh and the lifeless eyes of fallen comrades. In this harsh landscape, Marcus's resolve and intellectual pursuits intertwined in a dance of endurance and enlightenment. The terrain stood as a stark reminder of civilization's fragility, and his soldiers, clad in sturdy leather, understood that Rome's fate was bound to their icy breaths. The war's physical challenges were only half the battle. The psychological scars these winters etched were profound. Known for his philosophical insights, in the frozen trenches, Marcus was a pragmatic leader. His courage was a beacon for those cowered beneath tattered cloaks. His words became blankets of warmth for the spirit amidst despair. No campfire offered what Marcus's stoic reflections did, a spark of philosophical fire to thaw morale. As avalanches loomed and temperatures fell, his convictions solidified. Each thought, each reflection, becoming a flame-wielding power to comfort. Amidst the cold, his pen was mightier than the sword, etching warmth into the annals of history. In the solitude of a tent, by a solitary flame, Marcus Aurelius practiced his nightly ritual of writing meditations. Surrounded by the drumbeat of looming skirmishes and the groans of the wounded, this was an oasis of stillness. Each entry not only served as a philosophical retreat, but as a compass where he navigated leadership through war. This was no mere introspection. It was steering his mind through the legions of thoughts, confronting fear and uncertainty with stoic resolve. What it meant to live a life serving the greater good was at the heart of his dialogue, even when chaos raged around him. These reflections were more than cerebral exercises. They were necessary for resilience against war's consuming nature. Amidst growling winds and murmur of plans for the next battle, Marcus's writing became tablets of clarity. His musings kept him tethered to truths when history seemed poised to unravel. These practical ruminations revealed their depth upon retrospection, becoming timeless guides, offering Rome not quick remedies but enduring insights. His ritual became a cultural cornerstone, showing what it meant to be a Stoic in peace and in warfare. For Marcus, the harsh rhythm of war revealed truths of human nature and survival's grim imperatives. Within the trenches, war paralleled philosophical inquiry with strategies akin to dialectical questioning. The philosopher emperor saw beyond war's bloodshed. In its relentless nature lay the fabric of human resilience. War sculpted its own doctrine, demanding acknowledgement not just with sword, but with a tempered mind. Marcus captured this confluence in his reflections, finding echoes between battle's ordered chaos and life's existential struggles. Just as in philosophy, victory required perception, discipline, and the ability to wield lessons learned through reflection. His strategy in war was as much about wisdom as it was about weapons. By weaving intelligence into campaigns, he expanded more than territory. He embraced knowledge reaching beyond ephemeral spoils into the realm of wisdom. His strategy involved as much diplomacy as defense, each decision a balance of assertive action and reflective prudence. In aligning the movements of men with the careful reasoning of his meditations, Marcus reinforced his soldiers with not just orders but a deeper purpose. Through turbulent tides, Rome emerged more unified, epitomizing leadership in philosophy's finest armor. In early 175 CE, the Roman Empire teetered on the edge of collapse, worn thin by constant warfare and external threats. Marcus Aurelius, who favoured wisdom over warfare, was deep in the Marcomannic campaigns along the Danube, projecting calm despite weariness setting into his bones. Yet, beneath this facade of tranquility, unrest festered within Rome's political veins. Aelius Cassius, a respected general in the eastern provinces, watched as rumours of Marcus's declining health stirred the air. Observing the empire's vulnerabilities, and fueled by whispers of succession, Cassius envisioned a Rome restored to its ancient grandeur, but under his command. Cassius was not driven merely by opportunism. His convictions were shaped by countless battles and a reputation for tactical brilliance. To his legions, Cassius was an emblem of resolve in turbulent times. The mounting tensions with the Germanic tribes presented him an opportunity, one which he believed fate had destined for him. Cassius, with an unwavering belief in his martial prowess, saw himself as a necessary counterforce to Rome's philosophical ruler, imagining a future where he led Rome back to strength. Rumours of Marcus's illness served as a catalyst, feeding into Cassius's conviction that Rome needed a leader moulded in the fires of action and authority rather than contemplation. Determined, Cassius gathered his inner circle in secret, plotting rebellion with careful precision. His claim to the throne would demand not just military might, but allegiance from powerful political figures and the swaying of public opinion. When he finally declared himself emperor, it was a bold affront to Roman order, a gamble that could either ascend him to power or doom him to oblivion. Under the eastern sun, Cassius donned the imperial diadem, his proclamation resonating throughout the eastern provinces, stirring both intrigue and support. Yet to Marcus, embroiled in the harsh realities of frontier warfare, this was not just personal treachery. It was a dire threat to the unity of the empire he was sworn to protect. Informed of the seismic rebellion, Marcus Aurelius responded swiftly, but with thoughtful poise, embodying the stoic ideals he cherished. Despite the looming threat, his resolve remained firm, drawing upon philosophical and military insights. Above all, Marcus sought to protect the empire's integrity without unleashing unnecessary bloodshed. He first steeled the loyalty of the western provinces and their legions, reminding Rome of the stability his reign had guaranteed. With strategic grace, Marcus set about reclaiming the eastern provinces. His approach was not one of retaliation, but restoration, ensuring that his military strategy complemented his diplomatic overtures. With astute planning, he orchestrated a combination of tactical deployments aimed at isolating his opponent. Meanwhile, Marcus leveraged diplomacy with a nuance befitting a philosopher king, reaching out to those whose allegiance to Cassius was born more of fear than loyalty. Through carefully crafted messages, he reminded them of Rome's legacy, rooted in unity and collective strength. With eloquence, Marcus painted a vision of a united empire, his words weaving tales of Roman harmony and virtuous governance. These efforts were instrumental in eroding the insurrection from within, drawing hesitant allies back under his banner. Thus, Marcus's balanced strategy, a harmonious blend of military might and persuasive diplomacy, paved the way for subduing the unrest. As Marcus led his forces toward the east, his march faced daunting challenges, threading through harsh terrains and extreme climates. With his soldiers weary not only from travel, but from the looming conflict with their own brethren, Marcus's leadership extended beyond tactics to nurturing morale and resolve. His enduring meditations, captured nightly in his journal, served as both solace and inspiration, reinforcing his role as a moral compass for those under his command. The march eastward became a testimony to Roman endurance and unity, guided by a leader who represented strength not through violence, but through conviction. The rebellion reached its climax not with battle, but with betrayal akin to that which Cassius had instigated. Unbeknownst to Cassius, doubt had begun to poison the ranks of his supporters. Facing Marcus's advancing forces, some of Cassius's trusted lieutenants, sensing the futility in clinging to a doomed cause, defected. In a dramatic turn, Cassius was assassinated by his allies, a grim end for a man whose ambitions rested on power and warfare. The news rippled through the empire, heralding Marcus's unassailable resolve and marking the rebellion's fall. Marcus accepted the outcome with composed stoicism, underscoring his leadership's philosophical depth. In his triumph, Marcus could have sought revenge, yet he chose reconciliation. He offered pardons to many who had sided with Cassius, valuing unity over retaliation. This embrace of clemency spoke volumes, emphasizing that the emperor's rule was one of wisdom and foresight, not retribution. By focusing on reconciliation, Marcus solidified his legacy as a philosopher emperor, fostering a realm where stability was nurtured through understanding and shared destiny, leaving a mark on Roman consciousness that would echo throughout history. The ceaseless grind of the Marcomannic Wars dragged the Roman legions and their philosopher emperor, Marcus Aurelius, through unending trials. Year after year, they faced battles more grueling than the last, their march a relentless trudge across the unforgiving Danube frontier. The disciplined formations of the legionaries, once symbols of Rome's might, bore the scars of countless skirmishes, their once gleaming armour dented and tarnished by the ordeal. Before them lay lands crouched in foreboding forests, where the very earth seemed to conspire against their progress, hiding unseen dangers. Bitter winds bit at their resolve, and roads, choked with sudden snowfall, turned their march into a treacherous pilgrimage. Life on these front lines was a grim testament to survival, a daily duel not only with human adversaries, but with the very elements. Yet amid the turmoil arose a distinct unity between Marcus and his men. The emperor, once more at ease among scrolls and philosophical musings, now stood firm against adversity, sharing in the burdens of his soldiers. His presence lacked indulgence and grandeur. Instead, it was marked by a tenacity that inspired those around him. Eating the same rations and shivering under the same frigid canopy of stars, Marcus understood the power of solidarity. Under his leadership, each hard-won victory was a tribute to resilience, echoing the indomitable spirit of Rome. As Marcus faced formidable foes in human guise, he also encountered the cunning Germanic tribes, adept in the art of guerrilla warfare. They did not march openly into battle, but instead struck from the shadows, their ferocity driven by a desperate defence of their homeland. Ambushes were frequent and petrifying, with fearsome war cries reverberating through the heavens, masking their movements. These tribes were a maverick adversary, unyielding in their defiance, confounding a Roman army steeped in tradition and tactical order. As each surprise attack dwindled Roman morale, Marcus grappled with the profound philosophical undertones of warfare. Questions on suffering, fate, and leadership that demanded reflection amidst the chaos. Determined to turn the tide, Marcus's forces found necessity the mother of invention. Traditional military strategies gave way to innovative techniques. Adaptable formations manoeuvred the dense woodlands, and nimble scouting units countered enemy ambushes. Marcus's dual identity as warrior and thinker drove evolution within the ranks. While resources lay strained and blacksmiths toiled endlessly, the Roman military adapted, threading ingenuity with touchstone tactics. With patience and resolve, victory's cadence grew, proof that resilience often rode hand in hand with flexibility. As combat dragged on, the war's very duration became another adversary. Days bled into years, turning legions weary under relentless winter skies. Soldiers, shadows of their former glory, bore the weight of longing for home, enduring an emotional and physical grind pushing their spirits near the breaking point. Marcus, too, felt the toll of the arena's harsh reality. Days of philosophical enlightenment now met the hardened truth of continuous hardship and loss. His nightly writings became introspective, probing deeper into human nature and the darkness laid bare by war. Yet, he remained resolved, embodying leadership even as the empire teetered on chaos. Among the men, whispers of dissent surfaced, stirring amidst ranks worn down by prolonged campaigns. Grievances simmered, challenging unity as soldiers weighed loyalty against the burden of ceaseless strife. With individuality lost among the countless ranks, murmurs of fatigue and purpose crept in. Marcus, understanding the delicacy of human nature, confronted this discord with empathy, embracing stoic virtues to address festering doubts. Dialogues with his troops rekindled a communal identity, injecting a revitalized sense of belonging. Meanwhile, logistics became a critical battlefield. Supply lines, the lifelines threaded through dangerous terrain, demanded intricate coordination to nourish, arm, and heal the legions. Raids and unremitting weather compounded challenges, testing every aspect of their functionality. Shortages strained the army's capability, turning every resource stretched to breaking point. Marcus recognized the urgency of adaptability, guiding routes with self-sufficiency, balancing necessity with philosophical pragmatism. Yet the burden of leadership circled Marcus with an isolating grip. Every decision bore the weight of countless lives suspended in his judgment, and solitude often became his companion under the Danube's chilling nights. Embracing the solitude, Marcus found philosophical clarity in the quiet contemplation of fate and duty. In private reflections, he confronted his fears and doubts, but remained unbending before his men, a reliable symbol of stability in tumultuous times. Beyond the battlefield's visible scars, Marcus bore emotional wounds that cut deeper into his soul. The war's unyielding nature corroded connections, and familial bonds dissolved in memory's echo. His gaze locked outwardly onto a scarred horizon. Stoicism taught resilience, but it could not shield him from the poignant despair of perpetual loss. His struggles humanized his legacy, each reflection within the Meditations, a glimpse into a mind grappling to reconcile hardship with humanity amid immeasurable distress. Through it all, Adversity proved a crucible from which Rome's resilience emerged, met with unwavering resolve, shaped by indomitable courage. Marcus's banner rose as a standard of perseverance, buoyed by an understanding that true strength lay in enduring the shadows. His leadership, tempered by empathy, wove strength from the fabric of human spirit. As Rome teetered, Marcus bridged the divide between philosophy and action, a lasting legacy of wisdom interlaced with unwavering resolve. Faustina the Younger, wife to Marcus Aurelius, was not a mere shadow of her husband, but a figure who stood with distinction in her own light. Born into the imperial privilege, as the daughter of Emperor Antoninus Pius and Empress Faustina the Elder, she was immersed in the intricacies of Roman politics and court life from an early age. Her upbringing was a tapestry of lessons in diplomacy and imperial decorum, preparing her for an uncertain future destined to be consequential. In a realm often favouring masculine exploits, Faustina carved a niche of influence, subtly steering Roman policy from her vantage behind the empire's elegant drapes. The chronicles of the time offer fragmented glimpses into her life, but they suggest a woman of intelligence and deftness, navigating the swirling currents of power in Rome. Faustina's role was a complex blend of domestic life and public service, extending her reach into warfare and strategic governance. This narrative aims to illuminate her life not only as a token of loyalty to Marcus, but as a bastion of intellect and influence in an era marked by relentless challenges and empire-wide evolution. Faustina's relationship with Marcus was a multifaceted alliance that wove personal affection into the tapestry of the Roman state. Their union transcended a mere dynastic pact. It was a strategic meld of respect and shared vision. As Marcus endured brutal campaigns along Rome's expansive borders, Faustina remained a steadfast confidant and advisor. Her presence and counsel were invaluable, underscoring a partnership pivotal to navigating the tumultuous seas of Roman politics and military demands. Their marital bond, while tested by trials and distances, was shaded with trust and shared leadership, a rarity in a world where thrones often stood on unsteady foundations. During the grueling Marcomannic Wars, Faustina's involvement highlighted her influence and commitment. Despite tales of scandal crafted by ancient detractors keen to weave intrigue around her, these stories often reflect the biases of the times rather than truth. Her partnership with Marcus, resilient and rife with shared ambitions, marked her as more than just an emperor's wife, but a co-architect of an era. In the brittle encampments on Rome's frontier, Faustina's presence defied conventions. She often journeyed alongside Marcus, shedding the comforts of imperial palaces for the stark reality of military life. The soldiers knew her not as a distant empress, but as a commanding figure who earned respect amid the rugged trials of war. Her resilience allowed her to provide Marcus emotional support and practical counsel, anchoring the morale of those on the grim edges of empire. Within these camps, Faustina was both empress and participant in the empire's tribulations, involving herself in logistics and morale-boosting efforts, roles usually shut off to Roman women. Despite her loyalty, Faustina was not insulated from the tidal whispers of scandal. In the notoriously competitive Roman court, rumours of infidelity and deceit proliferated. Cassius Dio and other chroniclers fueled these notions, more products of speculative court gossip than concrete evidence. Yet inside the higher echelons of power, her reputation remained pearled by Marcus's unwavering trust and esteem. Their union stood as a lighthouse in the stormy seas of gossipy Rome, reinforcing a bond deeper than mere political strategy. While the ancient world often excluded women from public accolades, Faustina wielded her soft power both in domestic and political spheres. Her influence extended from palace chambers to the wider realm, managing household logistics while playing a crucial role in statecraft discussions. It was her foresight that initiated philanthropic ventures, laying foundations for future empresses. Schools, orphanages, and markets sprouted under her patronage, a legacy rooted in empathy and forward-thinking that endeared her to the Roman populace. Through these turbulent years, Faustina's interactions with religion and superstition offered not only solace but also political leverage. Like many of her contemporaries, she was entrenched in a rich tapestry of divine omens. Consulting oracles and engaging in rituals was a part of life, seen as vital for maintaining imperial fortune. Her faith, more than symbolic, was a reflection of Rome's cultural syncretism and a personal anchor amid the chaos. Balancing her imperial duties with motherhood presented diverse challenges. Her union with Marcus produced several children, many of whom did not survive infancy. Still, she was determined to provide crown-worthy upbringing for those who did, ensuring the dynasty's continuity. As a mother, she expertly navigated the demands of raising potential heirs amid a volatile political backdrop, guiding their educations and preparing them for future roles within the empire. Faustina's life was marked by a series of highs and lows, trials that reflected the capriciousness of fate. Publicly, her poise amidst such adversity became a beacon, her endurance a testament to the burdens shouldered by those wielding power. Her narrative is one of fortitude in the face of loss and betrayal, underscoring a partnership with Marcus that thrived on shared adversity and mutual support. Her legacy, like many figures of antiquity, comes through the prism of biased historical accounts. Viewed variably as an emblem of virtue or scandal, her life remains an intriguing mosaic. Modern interpretations strive to unearth her true impact, disentangling fact from prejudice. Faustina's influence on Marcus Aurelius's reign defies reduction to mere supportive roles, shining as a testament to resilience and substantial presence within Rome's storied past. Marcus Aurelius dreamed that his son, Commodus, would rise as not just an emperor, but a ruler forged in the mould of philosophic virtue. From childhood, he exposed Commodus to the same Stoic philosophies that had guided him: the pursuit of wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. He placed the boy among scholars and thinkers, hoping these seeds of wisdom would take root and grow. Despite Marcus's belief in education's power to shape a leader who would continue the empire's prosperity, the opulent life Commodus led whispered other promises. Unlike his father, who had known hardship and learned to value resilience, Commodus grew up in a realm bowing to his whims, where the grandeur of Rome's spectacles captured his ambition more than tales of Stoic restraint ever could. As Commodus matured, drawn by the allure of Rome's circuses rather than teachings on self-discipline, the vast world of the imperial role pulled him toward the intoxicating allure of personal glory. The amphitheatres called to him far more than the quiet halls of debate. Gladiators thrilled him. Their brutal dance within the arena seemed to offer a stage for his grandeur, more immediate and fan-based than philosophical reflection. Fame and admiration captivated his young mind, bending his aspirations away from his father's ideals of crafted wisdom. To Commodus, empire was not about duty but a majestic pedestal from which his might could be displayed. While Marcus contended with war's front lines, Commodus found a different influence at home with his mother, Faustina the Younger. A figure of poise amidst court intrigue, she embodied a worldly success that stood in contrast to his father's philosophical pursuits. Faustina, despite whispers and rumours of her own, remained an anchor for Commodus, providing warmth and acceptance, and indirectly shaping his perception of power, as much a game of charisma as a duty. In her, Commodus saw power wielded with grace, imparting in him a sense of entitlement rather than the restraint Marcus envisioned. Military camps on the frontiers introduced Commodus to a world pulsating with vigour and noise. Amidst soldiers, survival's pragmatism overshadowed philosophical discussions, the clang of swords more resonant than words. Commodus absorbed the aura of invincibility from the legions, fostering a belief that command came from sheer force rather than earned respect. Here, in the shadow of those who embodied might, Commodus's philosophy of leadership shifted toward displays of power, diverging from the stoic paths Marcus trekked in solitude. As Marcus aged, the weight of an impending transfer of power grew heavier. With an empire's struggles pressing down on him, the disparity between his ideals and Commodus's ambitions was starkly visible. Exhausted, Marcus pondered the bittersweet reality that his dream of a philosopher emperor was not to be. He watched his son revel in the games and entertainments that he feared might unravel the hard-won peace of Rome. The knowledge that his legacy hinged not on wisdom but spectacle weighed heavily, a grim reminder of the limits of influence, even for an emperor. The transition to Commodus's rule began before Marcus's breath last faded. Expectations blurred with illusions as the empire braced for Commodus not as the philosopher king of Marcus's dreams, but as a sovereign seeking personal glory. Without Marcus by his side, Rome's new leader carved his name into history, one not tempered by wisdom but marked by unchecked desires and lavish games. As the empire watched, Commodus offered spectacle as continuity's balm, shifting Rome from Marcus's gravitas to his own flamboyance. Commodus's reign melded empirical authority with personal desire, sending ripples of concern through both political and military ranks. His father's view of power as governance's responsibility gave way to Commodus's viewing empire as an extension of dominance and personal display. Courtiers and senators felt their influence wane as palace life turned toward personal gratification. Games replaced debates, excess overshadowed politics. Commodus's leadership painted a picture of Rome teetering on indulgence's edge, the empire's might silhouetted against a backdrop of theatrical distractions. Paradoxically, Commodus's sovereignty mirrored a philosopher's nightmare, where Marcus's intended legacy of wisdom founded on the rocks of youthful imperfection. Marcus hoped power melded with wisdom would enlighten. Instead, Commodus's reign exposed the gulf between idealistic hopes and the stark reality of personal ambition. Where Marcus envisioned a wise successor, Commodus's rule was marred by the immediacy of pleasure over patient governance. In a vivid portrayal of leadership unbound, Commodus luxuriated in power's freedom, filling government halls with distractions rather than ideals. Here, power's liberty became self-indulgence's currency, leading to leadership often divergent from responsibility. Commodus, in his unchecked freedom, viewed the empire less as a legacy of duty and more as a personal playground. Nonetheless, the memory of Marcus's governance persisted, offering Rome a philosophical compass amid Commodus's flamboyance. Marcus's writings, meditations, echoed through the empire as a testament to the enduring power of disciplined reflection. This contrast between father and son painted the empire's history in dual tones, wisdom's whisper amid spectacle's roar. Marcus's teachings extended beyond his lifetime, grounding Rome with lessons on leadership and restraint, a solemn reminder of philosophy's enduring strength. In the final weeks of the harsh winter of 180 CE, amidst the snow-covered camps on the Danube's edge, Marcus Aurelius, the weary philosopher emperor, trudged through his legions preparing for yet another battle. Each soldier he encountered bore witness to the heavy toll carved by decades of relentless warfare upon his once youthful frame. Lines etched deep into his brow revealed burdens both political and profound, each step weighed by the robe of an emperor and the armour of a warrior. He governed an empire that knew little of true peace, embodying a paradox that was its own philosophical challenge, a stoic trapped in a world at war. Marcus's philosophy, captured in Meditations, was not a luxury, but a necessity for survival. As battles raged and the cold bit deeper, his reflections provided a solitary refuge, more reliable than any oracle. Even surrounded by his legions, Marcus stood alone, contemplating life, death, and duty. The frontier wasn't just a physical boundary, it symbolized his life struggle. Standing at the brink of existence, the weight of his robe and armour marked these final days with a weariness only resolved in death's inevitability. In his last campaigns, Marcus led his troops to the empire's fringes, the dark, beautiful lands where nature itself seemed as determined to resist Roman advance as the tribes they fought. Through dense forests and along frozen rivers, the legions moved, their presence a defiance of natural order. The tribes knew the land intimately, yet Marcus remained undeterred, marshalling discipline and iron, a true testament to Rome's enduring might. As legionaries set camp and fires lit the night skies, their shared defiance flickered against the encroaching darkness. These later months offered Marcus moments of introspection amid the brutal reality of warfare. In the quiet hours beneath canvas tents, he pondered the moral complexities of conquest versus the guise of peacekeeping, musing whether suffering justified the banner of imperial unity. Marcus viewed himself as a preserver of civilization against the savage unknown, a leader tasked with defending enlightenment. Yet the lines blurred, and fatigue gnawed at him as he pondered his legacy. An empire won by might, yet fleeting against history's relentless progression. Camp life along the Danube was a stark testament to the empire's resolve, echoing Marcus's own stoic endurance. Days filled with tactical discussions yielded to nights of personal battles for the men, where the pressing bodies, unwashed clothing, and mingled smells created a harsh atmosphere. This was war, stripped of the glory celebrated in Roman halls, truth unvarnished and raw. Soldiers found warmth in fellowship, their stories mingling with flashes of humour, a balm against their weary spirits. Marcus moved among them, cloaked in both imperial power and an empathy born of shared hardship. His presence offered comfort. The emperor shared their dreariness and hunger, albeit in gilded form. Marcus's unyielding efforts to remain grounded served as a beacon, even as tales of his nightly writings spread respect through the ranks. Here was a leader who urged them to recognise valour not only in battle, but within themselves. Despite camp life's pervasive melancholia, Marcus pushed his men toward an immortality measured in character, not empire's breadth. Yet illness shadowed Marcus's mind, taking form as a relentless adversary. Coughing fits seized him, nights chilled beyond fire's warmth, and a malaise, more crippling than any foe beset him. Years of physical and ethical struggles wore down defences invisible to armour. Sickness held a pernicious grip on him, a struggle even philosophy struggled to pass. Though his body was failing, Marcus's mind searched for calm amidst the pain, a microcosm of Rome battling decline with principled resilience. Fevered sleep claimed him, but Marcus remained present at councils, his fragility stark against the robust visions painted by generals. Disease underscored his belief in perseverance, despite logical despair. Discussions of retreat or advancement took place with his health, oscillating like the Danube's tides. His enduring legacy was forged not just in governance, but through the perseverance displayed amidst physical vulnerability, a testament brightened by battling not only war's shadows, but existential frailty. Duty extended deeply into personal realms, where family and statecraft intertwined. Commodus, his son, followed alongside Marcus, embodying hope not just for power's trappings, but for philosophical wisdom. As illness besieged Marcus, thoughts of succession weighed heavy. More than physical frailty, it was emotional significance that filled final conversations with Commodus, exchanges of muted hope and foreboding. Marcus implored him to cherish stoicism, yet Commodus leaned toward grandeur rather than governance. In their farewell, Marcus's words flowed as invocation rather than sovereign directive. Tragically, Commodus seemed less attuned to patience and discipline. Marcus faced an irony. Governing with introspection, his successor craved immediate gratification. These parting words bore urgency, with foresight of Commodus veering from preservation. The final conversations epitomized Marcus's struggle, not just between father and emperor, but philosopher's vision against encroaching shadows. As the sun set on Marcus Aurelius's life, he lay not in Rome's grand palaces, but within a simple tent on empire's edge. Surrounded by companions through war and peace, the scene echoed stoic embrace. His passing lacked theatrical farewells, whispers merging with wind, carrying him from earth to history's eternal echoes. Marcus's death induced collective pause, a realm caught between wisdom's loss and uncertain future rulership. Soldiers gathered, fires kindling memories of a leader whose consciousness reached beyond temporal confines. With Marcus's death, the once golden veneer of the Pax Romana began to crack. Commodus marked a shift towards decline. Despite threats and disorder, Marcus sustained balance through wisdom. Under Commodus, peace's underpinnings eroded, and Rome, shielded by stoic armour, faced unseasoned leadership. This period tested Roman society, as traditional structures collapsed under negligence. Commodus's indulgence, stark against Marcus's contemplation, unravelled Pax Romana, embodying a narrative of unchecked hedonism. In the aftermath, Marcus's philosophical legacy endured, extending beyond empire's remnants. His meditations emerged as a testament to thought amidst tyranny. Written as truths cloaked in inquiry, his words transcended immediate rule, reaching future philosophical reflections. The legacy flowed beyond Roman boundaries, offering resilience against uncertainties. His reflections safeguarded a moral sanctuary, accessible to thinkers across epochs. Through enduring calligraphy, Marcus fortified wisdom's connection, confronting timeless human experiences with renewed vision. Through centuries, history rendered its complex verdict on Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor capturing duty and Enlightenment's dialogue. Contemporaries painted a leader transcending Rome's limits, focused on introspections, wrestling with humanity's whims. His reign embodied principles amidst rising imperial mediocrity, balancing triumph and tragedy. Near mythic cultural portrayals highlighted virtues facing mediocrity's rise. Through art and drama, Marcus maintained relevance, invoking leadership not as power's exhibition, but reason's symphony amidst chaos. As past emperors fade, Marcus Aurelius remains a beacon of wisdom. His philosophy re-emerges amidst existential uncertainty. Today's seekers find solace in his reflections, a narrative reimagined for modern discourse. Leaders and readers apply his thoughts across various domains, embodying resilience. Marcus's principles frame mental resilience within fast-paced modernity, offering narratives of reflective action. His philosophy signifies humanity's quest for wisdom and ethical living, elevating discussions on perseverance and courage amidst transience. Thank you for joining us on this journey through ancient Rome and the enduring legacy of Marcus Aurelius. If this story has captivated you, please like, subscribe, and share with those who find inspiration in the echoes of history.